Good morning. This will be a lesson on the basics of shooting. First of all, I like to introduce safety. I normally refer to it as LTLT. The first L stands for laser. And if you have a gun, you can imagine that a laser beam comes out of the muzzle, and you don't ever want that laser beam, that imaginary laser beam, to touch any part of your body or anyone else's body. It's very important that you always keep the muzzle away from any human object, any human part. You know, don't put your hand in front of it. Don't accidentally point it at your legs. Point it at another shooter. The T, LTLT, the T stands for trigger. You don't ever want to put your finger on the trigger unless you're ready to shoot. The next L, LTL, the L stands for loaded. You need to assume that every gun is loaded, always. No matter how certain you are that it is unloaded, you should assume that it is loaded. And finally, the last T, LTLT, the last T is for target. You should always know what your target is that you're shooting at, as well as what is beyond the target. Now, there are times when you need to move about and there are other people around you, and you have a loaded gun in your hand or an unloaded gun in your hand, but you need to move around without muzzling or lasering the other people. And a safe way to do that is not to point the gun up, but is to point the gun down and put your non-dominant hand on your chest. Put your gun like this in front of it, your finger off the trigger, and now you can move around and go anywhere you want without muzzling or lasering someone. So this is a good way to maintain safety. The next thing I'd like to talk about is stance. The stance, let me put the gun away. The stance is, your feet should be about shoulder width apart. Let me go over here so you can see maybe a little bit of shoulder width apart, the stance. Try to be relaxed. You want to lean into it, into where you're shooting. You don't want to lean back. You may want to bend your knees a little bit. So when you're ready to shoot, like that, that's a good stand. At least I have found that to be helpful. Sometimes because I am right hand dominant, you know, my trigger finger's on the right side, what I do is I move the left foot just a smidgen above, in front of the right foot. So, like that. The grip, let me come a little closer again. The grip should always be two-handed. Two-handed. You take the gun out with your dominant hand, the one that pulls the trigger. You get a good grip. Get a good grip on the gun. Make sure that it is. You want to make sure that it is snug against the top. That way, when it recoils, the recoil will go straight back instead of tipping up. If there were a gap between here, the gun would tend to tip up rather than go back. So you want to make sure that it is snug there and goes back. The other hand should wrap around like so, and your thumb, the two thumbs should line up something like that. And an important thing to remember is to drop whatever you have in your other hand. Whatever you have in your other hand, you want to drop. You want to drop whatever you have in your other hand, and make sure that you grab the gun with two hands always.